Hello, welcome to another episode of Race to Wealth on the Boss Up Houston Network. I'm your host, Vanessa Harrison.
And I'm your host, Delcine Thomas.
Today our show is titled, Are You Financially Compatible?
Yes, it's going to be good. Yes, so the intentions of our day is, well, first I want to say I want to thank God for blessing us to be here today and for another beautiful day in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
Woo! We are going to share some information with you that's going to literally change your life and help to improve your life and push you into to make a difference in your life and your family. Also, it's going to help you to make other decisions about your finances for wealth and for the generational wealth as well.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to go right into our story of the day for today.
Yeah.
So the story of the day today is a scenario, really, of a couple. And these people, just thinking about financial compatibility, the husband in the relationship, he was a very social guy.
Right.
And he liked to spend his money doing things that put the couple in a space of doing things together. He liked to buy basketball tickets so that they could, sit courtside and have a good time, do different tournaments, where they were doing things and being active together, going to concerts, going to festivals, so that they could spend time together. The wife in the relationship, she loved to spend money doing things. She liked to spend money on things that saved her time. So she would spend her money like paying for the laundry service so that she didn't have to spend all those hours doing laundry. She would, pay for somebody to wash her car so that she wouldn't have to go out there and wash it by hand. She paid her secretary. She paid for things that saved her time because she's a very busy woman. Her schedule was always busy. And these two were very compatible when it came to money until they hired a maid. Can you see how that would change their compatibility? Because the man spent money on, doing things that kept them together in quality time. The woman spent money on things that would save her time. Well, it's coming out of both of their accounts to pay the maid. So the wife is thinking she's spending money to save herself time, and the husband, he spends his money on quality time. So now the wife is not there, but the maid is there. That can cause a problem.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a part of this information that we're going to be sharing. The fact that your finances is so very valuably important, and coming into a relationship. What are you looking at coming in? Are you evaluating the situation between you and the other person before you come into the relationship? Are you looking at your situation financially to make sure that it's going to be stability in the relationship before going in the relationship? And that's where we come in hand. The fact that about your mindset. Your mindset is everything. Mindset, education, where you want to go versus what you're willing to put into it before you get into that relationship.
Yeah.
Because because one person can be coming in with the bulk of the finances, good credit, the situation. Just ready for it. And like I was sharing with Vanessa, love can blind us, because if a lot of people are listening to our conversation right now, love can blind you.
That is so true.
Yeah. Depending on your age and, what you're coming, what's going on in your life and things like that. When you fall in love, you're just like, oh, I'm so in love. It's love. Just love covers everything, No, it doesn't. It does, but it doesn't. going into relationships, if
Yeah.
your finances is not right, the other person's is, it's definitely going to bring some mayhem. I guess I can use that word.
Discord,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's going to really start
Yeah.
to shake that love relationship.
Yeah. And finances is one of those things that when you're going into a relationship, a lot of times it gets overlooked, but it's a very, very important piece because
Serious.
every choice that you make financially as a couple or individually can affect the relationship. And like you were saying, when people are young, sometimes they're so blinded by love, they go in and finances is not a thing that they are, that's okay. That's not a thing that they're thinking about at all. Because they just started, doing their own finances for themselves.
Exactly.
But as people get older and they go through different things, then, finances becomes more of an important, conversation.
Exactly, like she said, it's just so important,
It's
for
so important.
us to have ourselves together, financially coming into relationship. I've experienced some of those things as well, so I know exactly what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Excuse me for the cough, audience. It's just it's coming up on me for some reason.
That's okay. But yeah, unexpected things happen.
Yeah, like this cough out of nowhere. I'm like, get off of me, cough.
And and every kind of situation, especially financial things come up and things happen. And I know we were talking about earlier. We were saying that money is really a tool. Money is a tool that people use to do whatever they want to do.
Right.
So how you use that tool affects your relationships because tools are used to save you time, energy, and money. It's like a system. Money is a part of the system. It's not something that you say, I just got to have the stacks and stacks and stacks of, or I don't have enough. Whatever amount you have got to use it as a tool to get you where you're going to go. And that's why vision is so important. Vision is important because if you know where you're trying to go, no matter how much money you have, you can get there.
Exactly.
You can get there. No matter how much money you have, you can get to your goal if you have a vision of getting there. So couples, they've got to have a vision, and they have to have talked about their vision in order to make it, in order to make their compatibility, financial compatibility work out.
Exactly. And that brings me to mind about a couple that I had did some research on or had just heard about, read up on, and the young lady had met someone she had fallen in love with, and she wanted to she was starting to pay off and pay down on her bills before she got married, and that was one of her goals, like you said, a vision, because she didn't want to go into the relationship and make it and have it to become unbalanced, because he was stable in his finances, his credit was good, he just had a situation that was really going on that was really good. And so that's what her thoughts were. I do not want to go in this uneven or unstable and mess up the relationship where they were already talking about eventually buying a home and things of that nature. So again, finances is important, going into a relationship, but overall in life, you want to just make sure that you personally have your finances situated so that if something happens in your case, if you are single, you have some sort of stash left, some money on the side in case of emergencies. I'm telling you, believe me, it is serious, and you need to do that. I know there's millions and millions of people that are out there that know just what I'm talking about. If you've ever, if you've been growing up 20s and 30s and spending and doing what you want to do, and next thing you turn around, you're trying to get a car and pay your car note, but you study spending in other areas.
Yeah.
And you come to find out you can't pay your car note or because you're not disciplined. You haven't changed your mindset. You haven't changed your focus. And that's what needs to be done with your finances. You got to get angry. You got to get like in a fight with yourself.
That's true.
Everything
Everything is a fight. There's a battle, and a lot of times it's within us.
Yes.
But I love what you said about the couples, because the couples, one of them wanted to get their finances together so that they would be a good suitor for the other person, you know, and you find that a lot. People say, before I get into a relationship, I need to get my finances in order. I need to be in a better position. You know, before I have a baby, I want to be in a better position. Before I become a homeowner, I want to be in a better position. Right. But here's the catch-22. How do you get in a better position if you've never done that before? You know, how do you say, I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to know all about my finances and get financially stable right now?
Right now.
If you haven't been that way all along, there may be something that you don't know about that you need to learn about.
Exactly.
You know, so if you have, you know, so if you are enrolled in a program, which is what I love about our program.
Yes, we have the best.
Is that it teaches you how to get involved with your finances. So if you have a goal of doing this thing, here's exactly how you do that.
Exactly.
If you have a goal of buying a house and getting a down payment, this is exactly how you can do it. And here are the tools to do it. So if you go in and you type in this, hey, little by little by little by little, you will be there. You know, a lot of times we go into things, we say, I want to be this, or I want to do this. And if you don't have a role model, if you don't have a system that's created by people with lots of money anyway, then how do you get there? You know, a lot of times people, kids, they say, I want to be a professional basketball player. And they really do.
Right.
They really do. But they haven't ever been on the court with someone who is a professional basketball player.
That's what's up.
You got to get out on the court with someone who's using a system that has worked for that in the past, you know. So.
And you know what? Just from you bringing that information up, I had just made a note to make sure that I, you know, some information that I wanted to share. And it was, where do you get your mindset from? You know, on what you're doing right now in your life. Are you getting it from your friends? Are you getting it from family? Are you getting it from teachers or sports? You know, all of those different arenas or genres are where people, children, teenagers, parents, you know, individuals get your mindset. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading? You know, all of that has to do with your mindset. Matter of fact, I also wanted to mention Hosea 4:1 says that my people perish from the lack of knowledge. And that is so true. Because when you become more educated about what any area that you're interested in, you become empowered. You begin to push your shoulders back.
Yeah.
And you have a different confidence about yourself. So, you know, we're talking about that as well, the confidence. You know, when you get your credit together. You know, when you start that fight with yourself to be like, no, I'm going to take care of this. No matter how small or how big, you become empowered and you become confident. And you look at people around you and you wonder how they get where they got to. Everybody started at some point, no matter where they began. It was a start. So that's what you have to do. Just get started and just continue. You may fall short, but that's okay. Brush your shoulders off, right? Like, brush your shoulders off.
Right.
Pick yourself up and get back in the fight. Because it's going to take a fight. And ask me how I know. I've been fighting, you know, for the last 5 years or more, depending on the situation.
I agree. It is a
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
And if you're not in a fight or you don't feel like there's a financial fight going on, no matter what level you are, if you don't feel like it is a fight for you to stay on top or get on top or be on top or whatever, financially, you might not be in the right mindset.
And like we said also, the mindset, that's
the mindset
powerful.
is key.
That's number one. But also the people that you're hanging, your circle of influence. Now, that's not saying to leave anybody that is in your life, but you need to add on some new people to get you where you want to go.
Yeah. And there have been some people, I don't know if you guys have heard about this or not, but when it comes to like getting around different people, have you ever heard of a woman say that she wants to marry a rich man and live happily ever after? or a man want to marry a rich woman. It goes both ways.
That's right.
Well, in that situation, you definitely have to be compatible with that person. And you think, well, how can you be compatible financially with someone who's on a whole different level? So think about this. Someone who makes a lot of money, they have a habit with their finances to spend money on assets, things that are going to bring them value, things that are going to bring them, value is a good word, things that are going to bring them value. So if you are someone who says, I'm going to marry a rich man or I'm going to marry a rich woman, and you get with them, and the only thing that you can do is drain their money, and not add any value to their life, then you're probably not going to be compatible for very long, because they're already in a habit of spending their money on assets and spending their money on things that are going to make them money. And if there's something that comes into their world that is just a drain without adding anything, then it probably won't last very long.
So true, so true. So I want to tell you about a story that I think that's it's important, and it has to do with fighting. So I got this information out of an article when I was researching, so I'm just going to read just a little bit of it. But I'll make it short too. I cut some of it off. But there's a gentleman. His name is Joel Caston, Caston. He was seeking redemption through politics. He's 44 years old. 44-year-old convicted murderer. As a teenager, that's the situation that happened. Well, to make a long story short, this gentleman in prison for over 20-some years, of course, like I said, 44 years old. He is the newest elected public servant in Washington, D.C. Let me finish. Many of his constituents are his fellow inmates who were able to cast their ballots in June local election that has pushed the boundaries for voting rights and racial justice. Yes, and he speaks 3 different languages. Huh? And he's still let me go back. So, yes, since June, and has pushed the boundaries of voting rights while in prison. Washington, D.C. Last year joined a company, and was the only place in America that allows prisoners to vote is here in Washington, D.C. And he got them to vote for him. Yes, to vote for him. And he was elected. I mean,
knowledge is power.
Awesome. Knowledge is power. So, like I said,
because I didn't even know that in Washington, D.C., that the inmates could vote.
But let me give you a little bit more. So he was elected to office with by his peers. He was locked up for 26 years. Okay, I told you guys that. First voted when the first voter inside the jail voted, he won. I mean,
I was thinking there was a lot of people who pushed him over the top.
He knew he would be. He knew he should be on the outside by back in society. But 1.8 million incarcerated residents have the rights to cast ballots from behind bars. In most places, you don't lose your humility, civil rights, social rights, or political rights as well. Yes, I'm like, oh my God. So I just wanted to say that just hearing about him makes me look at myself and others like, and you can't do what? For yourself? I'm just using it as an example, trying to relate just the fact that he turned his
situation around
for the better. And if he was in there for 20-some years doing that, educating himself, we're out here and we can't educate ourselves on our finances, or you don't want to fight? something's wrong.
Wow. And he learned 3 different languages while he
Yes.
was there.
Yes.
So there were he was doing a lot of communicating.
A lot
That's
of-
for sure.
and a lot of
he
it-
probably learned to be a great speaker because
Yeah.
if you learn 3 different languages while
3.
you're there,
You can
he
look it
learned
up.
the language of maybe the language of persuasion.
Yeah,
all
I like
3 languages.
Oh, man. That's good, Vanessa.
Wow.
That is awesome. Yes. So
Wow.
It
And we
was
can
just
learn the
amazing.
language of financial language too.
that we have.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the products and services that we offer. Not just credit repair, but credit restoration. We have a credit builder system.
Mm-hmm.
We have all kinds of other
things.
products and services.
Mm-hmm.
We have Power Willing Attorney if you need a Power Willing Attorney.
Our virtual lockbox.
Our virtual
Identity
lockbox.
theft protection.
Identity theft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Trust. We
Trust.
have all kinds of
Yeah.
things. We
All
have
kinds. We even have a
budgeting system.
budgeting.
and all-
Yes. If you don't know how to budget, hey, look us up. Delcine Thomas on Facebook. DM me. We'll get you our website and more information. Or
Vanessa Harrison on all social media platforms. I'm Vanessa
Yeah.
Harrison.
you want to tell them how to Vanessa?
Oh,
V
how to spell Vaneasa.
Vanessa. Touch your knee. She got me with that, y'all.
I do that whenever I meet
But it
people.
worked. It was worth. It's working because they
That's
might
it.
be like, she means Vanessa.
Vanessa.
No,
No,
she's
Vanessa.
Vanessa. But like again, friends all over the world. Everybody that's watching. It's powerful to get empowered. I mean, like I said, you just
Yeah.
brush your shoulders off. Your credit get up to 750, 725. And we're here to help you, to assist you, and we know it can be done, and it will be done. If you want it as bad as we want it for you, who wants to keep paying triple for an apartment? Who wants to
Oh.
keep paying? You go get a car, and they're gonna charge you triple the price of the car. You don't have to be in that situation.
A lot of times people don't realize how much they're getting overcharged for a lot of things. Banks want people to invest their income tax money, their stimulus check money. They advertise big time because they want people to go to the banks and put their money there because banks make a lot of money from people in overdraft fees.
Mhm.
The
Oh my
insurance
God.
company makes more
Yeah.
money if you have a lower credit score because there's also an auto score. So not
yeah.
only do you have a credit score, but you have an auto score. So if your scores are low, it affects how much you pay for insurance. If you're a homeowner or if you're renting, that affects how much insurance you pay. There's so many things that you have to pay extra on
Yes.
because of fees that are hidden that people don't know about. But once you are keeping up with your bills and staying on top of things, and then you start to see all of them go down.
Go down.
So it's so very important. So we want to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back in just a moment.
Stay up. Awesome. My name is Tanae, and I'm the owner of the Announcement Beauty Bar. Hi, welcome to the Announcement Beauty Bar. Essence, come on, follow me. Here at the Announcement Beauty Bar, we offer micro shading, eyelash extensions, and brow waxing. Please join us August 14th, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. for our grand opening, located at 9950 West Park Drive. Make sure you stop by to get brows that wow.
Welcome back to Race to Wealth, everybody, where we're going to give you some more information.
Yeah, welcome back. So we've been talking all about financial compatibility. Are you financially compatible? And so I had researched and thought about it. What are some things that people really need to consider? Like, what are the things that are deal breakers or deal makers when it comes to financial compatibility?
I like that.
So here are 6 that are major to determine if your relationship is going to make it for the long haul when it comes to finances. So the first one is you can talk about money without fighting. That's a big one, because if you're with someone in a relationship with them, being able to talk about money without fighting about it shows that you have the communication lines open. You know, you don't want to be, the only time you talk about money should never be when you're fighting about it. When there's a problem with money and then you bring it to the table, there has to be a certain amount of planning in place first so that you can talk about it where nobody is getting upset.
And I also think that another way to talk about money is when, depending on the two people and depending on the personalities, maybe when both of you guys are in a good mood, you've been laughing or, having a good time, whether it's at your home or wherever you might be out at. Because I think what it does is it breaks down a barrier. Yeah, that's the word. It breaks down a barrier because he might have been upset or she might have been upset, maybe 20 minutes ago. And then you're going to jump right in and bring that up. No, you got to find the right timing. Right. And I'm not saying it's got to be perfect, but just think about it. And for those that are listening, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is a right time to talk about it, and that'll be the right time. Just think about when you both are in real good mood, something going on, whether it's dinner, whether
maybe you're planning for something and then just bring it up, because you're already thinking about what you want to do in a better way, right? Then you could bring up that,
right? And sometimes one have to give a little bit more than the other, meaning that if she's not agreeing right away, then just you brought it up, let it go. Just let it simmer.
Table it.
Sometimes you gotta put the love on it. Just let it simmer. Then come back later, when you got her or him in another good mood, and just whisper. I don't always have to be like that. Sometimes you gotta. What they say, you attract more bees with honey.
You gotta finesse it a little bit.
Go ahead, tell them again.
Finesse it a little bit.
I love it. Hey.
Okay, so another thing, another way to know that you're financially compatible and you'll make it for the long haul is that you don't feel the need to hide your purchases.
Exactly.
And for some people they may say, well, is that even possible? Because you're not always going to agree on all purchases. But if you feel like you need to hide your purchases, all the time. Like you can barely go to the store without leaving it in the trunk every
good.
single time. To wait until, they're snoozing to bring it, inside. Listen, you need to get back on the same page when it comes to finances.
It's freedom.
know.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's healthy. That's
Right.
number one. That's not being healthy when you have to do that. If you feel that you've worked for it, it's your money, or however you guys work out your financial situation. If you're hiding, that's going to start putting pressure on you. You're going to start getting depressed,
Right.
and it's not healthy.
Yeah, it's not healthy. And you say trust, and that's number 3.
Ooh.
Number 3 is that you trust your partner's spending habits. Because you definitely want to be with someone who has a habit that you're comfortable with. Like if you're with a guy and he's always spending on golf, or a woman who's always spending on shoes, whatever the habits might be, you got to be comfortable with their habits. You got to trust their spending habits. So if you're with someone and you know that they go to the casino sometimes, then, do you trust that they're going to go and when you come back, you're still going to have a house to live in?
That's a
You're
good
still
one.
going to have a car to drive. You're still going to, they haven't gambled off something precious. You've got to be able to trust your partner's, spending habits.
I like that. And another thing too, like you were saying a little while ago, you were talking about the fact that in the relationship, even for yourself, how I think the finances depend on how much is that purchase that you're looking to do.
Yeah.
I mean, even with credit cards, you put in for credit cards, and this is a little personal. Don't tell nobody my secret. But anyway, so, if you want to get a credit card.
Want me to stop you? She said, this is personal.
But I'm talking about credit cards, and almost everybody have them. If you don't see us, we can help you get one for credit, to help your credit, not to get one to mess you up.
Right.
But that's a big
You
purchase.
got to have trust when it comes to credit cards.
That's right.
Because a lot of times couples share credit cards, or, one person is in charge of paying for the credit cards while the other person is in charge of paying for other things. So you definitely have to have trust when it comes to credit and borrowing.
You do.
For sure.
And then be responsible about that credit card that you that you get, and let the other person know that you got it. And that's what I wanted to say too.
Yeah, that's true. And the 4th one is having divergent credit scores. So if you want to make it for the long haul, it's okay if your credit scores are different from each other, but it is important to know why. Because if someone had a terrible thing happen to them, their life just went all over the place, and for that time they couldn't pay their bills, but before that they were very responsible, then that person you may be a little more compatible with if you already have a high credit score. Or if you are with someone and they are in the habit of spending everything they have ever earned in their whole entire life, and not saving anything, not paying their credit card bills, but you are the type of person who does keep up with your finances, and then the compatibility might not
starts to be destroyed.
Yeah.
But that's where
it's a big
another
deal.
thing that you were talking about earlier is to start finding out, have that relationship where you're talking about things before you go into a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure, and even that's number 5. You want to have similar, financial priorities. So if one person prioritizes paying their bills, and they're the kind of person who's like a maintenance spender, so they spend to maintain what they have. Maybe they don't go and when I say maintenance spender, I mean they spend money on making sure their things are all fixed, they're all nice. They might buy some really expensive things, but they buy that because over time they know they're going to take care of it. Some people would rather spend $100 on a shirt instead of buying a lot of $7 shirts. But they know that over time they're going to wear this $100 shirt way more times for years and years and years, as opposed to a $7 shirt that might last through 3 washing machine cycles. You know, there are maintenance spenders and then there are impulse spenders. But you know, you got to know what the person that you're with, what they prioritize. Do they prioritize making just what do they prioritize? I mean, just think about it. Some things that some people prioritize over other things.
Yeah. Like paying your bills on time,
Yeah.
or you know, whether it's your car note or the maintenance on your car. You go to get the car washed. You you want, you know, how many times you're going to do that? Are you going to do that twice a week? You know, depending on what's going on in your life.
Right.
You have expenses with children. You know, if you
Right.
have children, that's another finance or budget you
Yeah.
want to be looking at when you say prioritize. Well, the kids need clothes for school, or the kids need clothes for summer, or, you know, they need clothes, period, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to put all that down on paper.
And then even
figure-
some people prioritize clothes and stuff like that because kids are always growing out of them and everything. And some people prioritize getting them new clothes. Some prioritize getting them older clothes, but then they pay for experiences. Like maybe they go on vacations, they prioritize that. Or maybe they prioritize them being in different social groups or athletic groups, you know.
Yeah, trips, vacations.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to write it down because it's healthy.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's healthy to, you know, have a calendar for your events, for your priorities. You know, it's just healthy. I myself personally, I write down things. Sometimes I might write down things too much because I have a calendar and a notebook. I mean, of course, you have the computer if that's what you so choose to use. But writing it down, like I was telling, you know, in one of our episodes before, I was coming home from work and I was thinking about these things that I needed to pay and, you know, some things that were going on, and I thought myself into a headache. I mean, it was just, I was just thinking that hard. And, you know, and so having to do with finances, like she said, prioritize.
Yeah, prioritize. And prioritizing, and you can do that. You can think these things. And like you were saying, writing it down is important. If you and your partner are able to write it down and talk about it without, you know, arguing about different things, it's a really good thing.
And then you can have a list too for yourself individually, a financial list for yourself, and like she said, one for you guys together. But then, you know, and then that way you can let him know what's going on in with your finances and what you would like to do.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're in a relationship and you ask for advice, or you just have a conversation about your finances, I think it weighs heavily. I think it really makes it you know, especially if you're asking an opinion about something that you want to do going forward financially, what you think, you know, just say, what do you think, you know, and get their opinion. And that lets them know that at least you're concerned. You're opening up to the fact that I'm concerned about what you think about what I'm trying to do with my finances, or something that I want to do with my money, you know, because we have those words we talk about, my money and your money, and everybody's different.
Some people have my money, your money, and our money.
Yep.
You know, in different places. But I really like what you said, because you do have to, you know, come to them and say, like, what do you think about this or that? Because, you know, if you're in it together, then it's important to have those conversations and write it down first for yourself. If you are the one who's thinking about, concerned about money or purchase or something like that, it's important for you to write those things down before you even go to them.
Yeah.
It's good to write it down so you'll have it in your mind. What is it exactly that you want to do? Where do you want this to go? How do you think they might react, and how are you gonna steer this thing? Especially if it's a long-term commitment, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, you want to talk about that. If it's gonna be like a monthly commitment, if it's gonna be an annual commitment every single year, you know, or even if it's a big purchase and it's a one-time big purchase, but you're just not sure how they're gonna react to it, then you definitely want to let them know. Number 6 is you agree on the size of a purchase.
That's
good.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna get something and you and your partner need to have a mutual understanding. Like, Okay, if we're going to get something and it's over $457, then we need to talk about it first.
Yeah.
So don't be out here buying $700 at a time, and I don't know anything about it. Then
Right.
whenever you are, running your debit card, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what happened to the money? You can't just make $1,500 purchases, $3,000 purchases, and your partner doesn't know anything about it. There's a certain number that is important to talk about. You say, if you spend more than $600, we're going to have to talk about it first.
Yeah. Right.
Some people do that.
Right. Some people do that, and she's right. But, and overall, we are talking about relationships, but we're even talking about individuals as well, because there are millions of single people in the world, and some are in certain positions because you are still going out with your girlfriends. You are still just doing what you want to do when you want to do it with your finances, and you're still having problems. Like we said before, you're going to have to fight for what you want. And I'm just not talking to be talking. I've been through it, and I know what it feels like, and it doesn't feel good, and it will weigh heavy on you. So nothing is perfect. And you do have to just come to grips with where you are financially and where you want to be. Yeah. And that's when you're going to start to fight for what you want.
That's so true. Golly, you dropped the mic on that.
Ooh,
that's true.
You
that is so true. You have to get real with yourself and see what you want to do, how you're going to get there, and take the steps to get there. Yeah. I think that, that's all the time that we have for today. We have loved talking with you guys.
Yes, we had a good time.
Again, I'm your host, Vanessa Harrison.
And I'm your host, Delcine Thomas.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Race to Wealth. Are you financially compatible on the Boss Up Houston Network? If you'd like to contact the Boss Up Houston Network, go to bossuphouston@gmail.com to email them. You can catch me on social media, all social media platforms at Vanessa Harrison.
And the same here, Delcine Thomas on all social media platforms. It was great. Look forward to seeing you here
next week.
At
2 o'clock on Sundays at 2. We'll see you later.
Bye.